Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We bring you a dual commentary on Convergence, which is a two-player map. And on the top, we have... Mark, would you like to take it away?
I will indeed. On the top, we have Wolf. As you can see, he is the Federation. And on the bottom, we have Defiant. And he is Borg, because my game paused. And there you go.
There we go.
And Dominus, would you like to introduce our avatars? Can you work it out yet? You're usually quite good at this.
We have our first resource assimilator out, and as predictable, it is Optimize. We cannot yet figure out a avatar for Federation. We need a yard up. We should know that pretty soon. We have got a scout moving around. Gonna probably go to his expansion, look around there. We'll see. We got a lot of dilithium moons, so I hope to see a lot of expanding going on. Remember, when you're ahead, get more ahead.
I said, Dom, that saying is going to start sticking people's heads really badly, along with make sure you scout. I'm interested on this. Why do people not tend to go for the assimilation avatar on the Borg? It seems to be quite a common occurrence. What is their fear?
Well, Optimize does have that wonderful advantage of having cheaper chassis, so you can get out more ships much more quicker. Oh, we got something. Oh, nope, not anything interesting. Just tribe first, dill first, so very typical. And we have also a conduction matrix right in front of the base, and I'm going to keep on bitching about this until somebody destroys this thing, because it is such a juicy target. If the Borg is far away, oh man, that thing can go down.
So, what is the fear for assimilation avatar? Why do people like it?
So
I mean, obviously
we have only a few advantages for the assimilation avatar. We have the pyramid, which is basically like a souped-up assimilator. We've got, of course, nanite factory, which can lessen a lot of those shields. But assimilation takes a lot of, I would say, micromanagement on the side of using auto assimilator and a little bit of luck. So it can be much more difficult to use that avatar than Optimize. Optimize is your typical destroy avatar, just like all the other factions are. So it's much easier to use in that regard. And because of those cheaper chassis, you can get out more ships. So you feel a little bit more advantaged for that reason.
Yeah, but obviously the assimilation avatar does have the advantage of also having the cheaper assimilator itself. It does cost less in collective connections.
Yes.
And does it not have more module slots as well for the assimilation?
It doesn't have more module slots, but it allows you to put another auto assimilator on there to get the same benefit. So you can get 3 auto assimilators for both assimilators, but for the assimilate avatar, you get all 3 for the benefit of just having 2 of them. So it's quite a nice advantage, and putting a nanite factory on it or a regen module means that you can get a lot of energy for stripping crew off. But that's a very distinct style of play. It can be frustrating to use, and a lot of people don't like that style, and myself included. So it's something that we usually choose.
Looking at the Federation, their avatar is, if I'm not mistaken, Mason. Could be wrong there?
You are wrong, because we have no Norway at the bottom of that list, so this is a Risner avatar.
I love it when I make a mistake. Lucky enough, I didn't bet anything on that.
Interestingly, Borg has gone for 4 resource assimilators, 2 at the expansion and 2 at the main base. So he put 1 mining station here, which is a good thing to do because each of these will time each other. So that's fine. It's a little interesting he decided to do this. He must feel pretty safe that the Federation won't attack that position at all. I'm not sure how Wolf plays this Federation, so we'll have to see that. He's going for a warp-in, standard hybrid warp-in, so he's building a few ships out of a yard, intrepids. Pretty typical against the Borg. As soon as the Borg scouts this, I hope to see... Yep, there we go. We have a Dode.
He's already done it. He's already on to Dodes.
Yep.
So he's directly countering those with his Dodes.
Yes, exactly. We don't have any probes coming out, so this means that Borg is going to have almost no ships, really. Probes are used for just absorbing damage and for scouting, because they have a pretty good sight range, and they can also do damage because they're a small, cheap unit that you can just set around, whereas Dodes are a little bit of an investment. So he's only going to have 2 Dodes by the time the Federation has something like 5 Intrepids or 4 Intrepids. So we'll have to see how this works out for him.
Of course, with his early expansion technique, I guess he's going for the idea if he expands early, it gives him more ability to expand further on after that. Like you say, if you get ahead, if you can get ahead, I guess he's trying to get ahead really early on, and hoping that if Wolf doesn't scout properly, he won't notice it's expanded straight away down to the south there.
Yes. And we'll notice something interesting. So Borg decided to actually put down 2 mining stations at the same time, and I would think this is a mistake. Each of these are pretty expensive. It's, I believe, 200 dilithium and 100 tri. So by doing this, you're actually behind somebody who had 2 mining state or 2 resource assimilators on each of these moons now. So unless he builds more mining ships really soon, he's going to be behind just a normal start. He's got 2 Dodes coming up now. Is that only his second Intrepid? I guess that is only his second Intrepid he's building. He's going to probably build more Intrepids out of this yard. At least by having a yard, he won't have to really worry about damage to his miners or anything else.
I'm trying to work out where that constructor is going. It seems like it's going to make a 3rd expansion straight away. Yeah.
And this could be very good against Borg. Borg only has 2 ships, remember? So that means that he's not going to have the ability to really harass anywhere. You can see that this ship is, what is this actually? This is probably, yes, this is a double intercept module dodecahedron, so it's going to be very nice against Intrepids. It's going to have that special weapon where it can do axial assault, spin around, and damage a whole bunch of other units, and therefore disable a bunch of other units. But unless he keeps up and tries to kill these things, he's not going to do a terrible amount of damage.
Yep, they're both double. They're both double. They're both central dode. I've forgotten what I was meant to say there.
And this is very odd. He decided to do this axial assault, but that meant that he has less of a chance to kill this thing because he's not even targeting it. So the axial assault is something you want to use when you're only close to 1 or 2 units, when you have got multiple Dodes and you want to really do a lot of damage, a lot of disabling really quickly. You notice that a monsoon is coming out, so we're already going to have a counter to this type of unit already, and the Federation will build up pretty quickly. He's got this mining station going up, so he's going to have a lot of resources, and he's got this turret going up.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're both expanding in very unique ways from the way a player normally expands on this sort of map, which is interesting to see. Now he's really targeting that constructor, so he really doesn't want him build.
He will stop it from building. Wolf must get it back into the yard. Yeah, he's going to do it right now, and he's going to save it. These Intrepids aren't going to do much damage. That monsoon will really be the savior here. And he's deciding to fight pretty far away from his yard. And later in the game, when he gets up 3 or so Dodes, like he is about now, it might be difficult to get those Intrepids back before they die. This one may not even make it back. If it gets an engine disabled at a critical time, or another hull type of hit, it's very close to losing engines.
Its engines are nearly down.
Yep. It'll barely make it in. I think one more shot.
That is gutting. It was so close. As you can see, he's going back for his turret again.
Wolf is multitasking at the moment, but he probably wants to put up a phaser platform over here at his other expansion. That way he can protect it. Borg still doesn't know about this, but it's a good opportunity to get that.
Yes, where is that Borg scout actually? Where are you? Scout. Come to me.
I'm very surprised that Wolf has not decided to go for a warp in. He'll probably try to do that pretty soon. But he needs to do that to get out some heavy-hitting firepower. As Rash would like to say, galaxy spamming. We would like to see some galaxies with tactical weapons arrays against these Dodes, because otherwise these are going to build up into a mass. And we need to see many more monsoons out in the field. We have just now starting to build out of this other yard, so we lost a lot of production cycles. This could be very bad. We only have 2 Federation units out in the field now.
He is macroing very well though. If it was me, I would probably set the rally point behind the actual shipyard. That way he can just get them constantly repairing. Oh, look at that.
You can see that Intrepid's going to die. So we've got only 2 monsoons out. A third one's going to come out on this side. We need 400 tritanium for Starfleet Command, so you can't really get that yet. So if he wants to do that, he needs to send one of these miners to the Tri-Moon over here.
And he's just converted that turret, and is it a phaser turret? Yes, it is.
Unfortunately, he's not Mason, so he won't have that dual damage phaser turret, but at least he will still get some damage out with these monsoons. He won't be able to kill anything anytime soon, but it will do some damage. We did notice, by the way, that we did have a different configuration. We have a double vinculum module Dode here, so this means it can provide extra energy for more axial assaults more quickly, so that's quite a nice little tactic there that you can get. I like to see new module configurations out on the board. Well, let's see. I unfortunately chose the wrong avatar, so I can't see how many CCs that Borg has at the moment. Mark, could you tell me how many CCs Borg has?
He has 46 CC, so 46. I can tell you now he's saving up for a spear.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, his titanium is disgustingly low on 378.
Yes,
so
he will need
needs
about
to get some try.
600, I think, in order to get the proper amount of try for that. Maybe 700 try for his
He'll get that in a minute. He's just docked a try miner in there, so it'll be long now. So he will build a spear. It's very common for Defiant to go for spears quite fast and early on. So hopefully, and he's getting up more resource simulators, so he is trying to get more resources.
On the other hand, we have Wolf here, and he has enough resources. He needed 800 dilithium and 400 try, and he's got plenty of that to start Starfleet Command, and I expect that's what this constructor is going to do. And there we go.
Yep.
There it is.
And we've got 4 monsoons on the way down to the Borg base, so he is going to go for a bit of an assault here. Obviously, those monsoons will tank. He's going to go for the Borg head on again. So I wouldn't personally do at their main base. He's just going to retreat them. The fleet's there as well. He needs to scout really. Oh, he's going to see the expansion soon. And that's what he should really be going for, the expansion, which has the ships that can't get away very fast. Can he slow them down? Because as you can see, he's just getting absolute pelting.
And we can see that Defiant triggered his axial assault early, so he really wanted to do a lot of damage. I think he expected Wolf to stay around a little bit further, or maybe he just wanted to say, "Get away from my sphere, chassis, bitch." And he did that. So we have
Stop. I never want to hear you say that ever again.
90 seconds away from Starfleet Command. That sphere is going to easily get up, and then we're going to lay on the hurt. So I hope to see some switch back to Intrepids, because if those monsoons saw anything, which we can't tell, they should know there's a sphere on the way, and we want some Intrepids to tank again, to get out that torpedo damage, to do a lot of damage, and be prepared to tech up again. Oh, we got chassis level 2. This is even better than Intrepids. This means we're going to get Akira's out, and this is exactly what you want against spheres. Heavy hitting torpedo arm stuff. Very durable, so they can get out of combat. They do great against Dodes, and they're much more efficient than Intrepids are, and they're not weak against Dodes like Intrepids are.
They're really not. He cancelled that turret for some reason. I'm not too sure why.
I find that interesting. I would have actually put another turret on the other side near the yard.
Oh no, I see why. I do believe we have an Aradi yard going up here.
So he wants to get the E2s out. So this is a great force. So combined with this Warpin, those Akiras, and the Aradi yard, he's going to have a ton of torpedoes, and it's going to be perfect against late game Borg stuff. Whether Borg has seen this expansion now. We have no turret over here. This is going to be a field day. So you won't even have.
They are off on the attack there. This is going to be great. If I was Wolf and I saw this, he might as well accept the expansion's lost. Take the time he's got to go down to the Borg expansion and take that out in return. Do a little bit of expansion swapping here.
Yes.
Obviously, he's got an expansion already, so him losing the expansion won't be the end of the world, because he's got one already. So he can just go there and slow the Borg down and slow down their resources, because the Borg still haven't got loads of resources, unfortunately.
So chassis level 2 is done. Warpin is done. We're going to see Akira's starting up right now. But he needs 3 dilithium moons for these 3 yards if he wants to pump out. So he has to be very careful with his resources. We have the first Akira coming out here. We have just the monsoons finishing over here. He knows he doesn't have enough resources. And we have Remors coming out. So maybe we want some point defense to fend off all those torpedoes. The sphere is, this is an interesting module. It's got a holding beam in there, so to allow that double vinculum Dode to do some help. We've got regeneration, so we have 2 modules here. So we've got a prime, 2 regen, and 1 holding. So that's a nice module, some energy draining.
So he is going for, he's going to chase those Borg. Like I said again, if it was me, I probably wouldn't have done that myself. I probably would have gone for the expansion.
He gets the time to do some decent damage to these Dodes. He should be able to not lose anything. These monsoons are pretty hardy. They aren't Mason monsoons, so they only have 18 defense, but he should be able to kill at least this Dode, which is worth it. I want to see that being retreated right now. Proxy Torp, that's nice. It's not going to do a tremendous amount of damage to the Dodes because it does more to small size units, and Dodes are medium size, but still does well. One thing I want to call attention to is Wolf did a very nice job pulling his miners back. He retreated them in multiple directions, and he was able to save 1, which is more than you can expect against these Dodes. He did pull them back a little bit late, so he could have saved more if he had realized the threat earlier, with a scout maybe up ahead so that he could see things. But other than that, he did a good job. He saved 1, so he can keep mining from this. And I hope to see, yep, there we go, more miners coming out over here. And hopefully we'll see some research going on for these Remors, because if they don't have the research, they're not much use right now. We got a holding beam going on. This monsoon will probably bite the dust if he decides to chew on that. But
oh, and there it is. He's used his lovely special on that Dode, and that holding beam is back off. And did he catch that monsoon? He didn't, unfortunately. What a shame.
Really what you want to use those holding beams for is to annoy the position of the enemy, stop units from retreating out like these type of monsoons, and then focus fire on them, because the holding beam prevents you from firing on the ship that you want to automatically, so you need to manually choose that. We have no more Akiras coming out of this home base yard. I think he really wants to just pump out of 1 yard, even though he has so much dilithium. So I'm not sure what's going on. We also have a miner not doing anything at the Tri-Moon over here. My pet peeve that I always get angry at Mark for.
I don't remember you ever getting angry at me about miners. My miners were always doing what they do best.
So Borg has a raging economy right now. He's got a total of 2, 4, 6, 8 miners, so he's going to have tons of resources. And because I haven't been paying attention to this conduction matrix, he's probably gotten level 2. Could you tell me how many CCs he has at the moment?
He's on 34, so he's only got for another spear.
So actually, he probably hasn't gone for level 2 yet. If he had, he would probably already have 50.
Yeah, he hasn't upgraded it yet. It's going. The clip inflictions aren't going up particularly fast. But yeah. Definitely another spear. So he's going to be going for damage here. I think this will be a damage spear. Maybe a regen. I'm not going to bet on it because I don't think I've got left to better to close my back, and I don't feel like losing those at this.
I would guess he's probably going to go for 2 to 3 spheres and then move up to a diamond. That's a pretty typical Borg strategy. Now that we can see, I'm really going to criticize Wolf for this. He has his scout sitting at the bottom of the map, staring at this lovely tritanium moon. Maybe he wants the gold out of it. Maybe he wants just the tritanium, the metal out of it. But either way, it's not doing jack diddly squat, and it needs to go up here and look at this Borg stuff, because we have no idea what the Borg is doing at this point.
I think you'll find that scout there is doing a survey of the moon to find out there's life. Yes.
The great big moon. That's no moon though, is it?
Or is it not? It does say tritanium moon.
It's a planetoid. Yes, so we have 30 seconds until the next warp in. That's fine. We noticed that Wolf is going for chassis level 3. Now, I would say this is a little bit of a weird situation here. I'm not sure what he's planning on getting. He probably wants to get Sovereigns out, but he's teching too fast. He just switched out of Remors. He still has this Tri-Miner, which I can't believe he missed, given that he switched from Remors to Avalons. So he's got to see it sooner or later.
And there's that second spear on its way.
And Avalons are just not so great against the Borg. Those fighters are dealing pulse damage. They're a good screen, but other than that, they're not going to really contribute that torpedo damage that he really needs right now. I want to see more Akiras. I want to see some E2s coming out of this. I also want to see some Sovereigns coming out, but later in the game, not right now when he has no resources, when he needs to refill this die and this Tri-Moon, and when he really should try to think about taking even another Di-Moon when he has the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, he's very low on resources at the moment, and he's on supply. So yes, the next thing he's going to have to do now really is buy more supply, which again is going to give him a big, slow stop on anything that's building.
Exactly.
Once he buys that supply,
now,
he's down to 18.
Is we have 2 descents on the field. So those are quantum torpedo wielding things, very powerful, very nice. The monsoons are going down here to raid. We see this nice heavy torpedo fleet. Lots of this stuff should be able to get out with that shield reset, even if he really wants to use that. I'd like to see him cycle ships in and out so he can use that shield reset more economically. Most of the time what happens is you just annihilate one ship and then use the shield reset on just one ship, and that's kind of boring, kind of bad. You really want to see some high-level micro there. These proxy torpedoes have been used already. That's why that ship is so down low. But other than that, it's not going to do too much. We see the adapter
your shield reset, does that cost supply if I remember correctly?
Shield reset does cost supply, yes.
Yeah, so if he uses shield, he can't use shield reset now anyway because he's down to 2 supply, which is going to be a real pain in the butt for him.
He has 33 supply, so now he has 2. What happened?
Yeah, he had 18 actually originally when cause another ship started building, and then another ship started to build, which sucked up all his supply.
So we can
as you can see, these monsoons are now taking a lot of damage. They are dying. So he is
a very bad situation to be in.
Yep. And again, good micro on the part of Defiant. He is getting those ships up before they destroy. That adapter got out just in the nick of time, but not before he got to scan a couple of ships to do that adapted torpedo that we all love.
So this second sphere that he built is a triple regen sphere, very typical. We need to see this miner go back to mining Try again, because the danger's gone. Federation is plopping down another mining station. This is great. I like to see Wolf expanding quite a bit. This is exactly the type of design this map was built for. And we see more Akiras coming out. Let's see what we have out of this yard. We have the Avalon still coming out. Really not sure about why he's deciding to build Avalons right now. He doesn't have any supply. He's just queued it up right as I speak. We have no more research coming out at the moment, so he's saving those resources for the supply buy.
Yep, Defiant, going back to Defiant on his part, he has, from what I can tell, upgraded to second level nodes now. His connections are going up quite fast, on 50. But the problem with him is that he has hit a supply bump. But he is getting up the incubation chambers, so it won't be too long before he starts generating a decent amount of supply, because he's got 2. And he is upgrading them as well to their most optimized state. So he will be at a point now when he's going to eventually be able to start making critical mass of Borg ships, which really isn't good for the Feds, but it looks like the Feds are looking to capture that middle moon. Yep, they have caught that middle moon. There's a lithium mine
there. Yard there too.
Yeah.
One other thing that Wolf has done that is very nice is that he's switched 2 miners away from his Try. He realizes he doesn't need quite as much Try, so he's switching those to the middle moon to mine this still. Now, you notice he does only have 500 Try, and if he does want to do any research for example, those Akiras, which he doesn't have the research for, he's going to need that Try again pretty soon. It costs about 500 Try for that research. Oh, he's already starting to research that. Very nice. So he actually has enough. So he probably won't need Try for a very long time now. So this is a good decision.
I think that Avalon is one of those ships. Unfortunately, it's going to cost him a lot, and it's going to die very quickly. It is so slow. It will not get about very fast. So if it does go into battle, like I said, those fighters will just get popped quite quickly, and then if he doesn't get out fast enough, it will die. It is one of the slowest ships in the fleet that he has there. Looking at the Borg, they have another spear going up. So, yep, we're about to see another spear. That's 3 spears they have. And then let's see if he moves on to a diamond like Dom recommends. I wonder if Dom would be willing to make a bet on that.
Oh, I don't know. It depends. It really also depends on what the Federation does. So I would like to think that there will be a diamond out just because we need that firepower. You need nanites out at a certain point to promote crowd control. But this depends on Wolf too. If Wolf doesn't have enough ships, the spheres may feel like enough. But if, on the other hand, Wolf puts the pressure on, lays down the hurt like he should right now, instead of sitting back and letting these monsoons raid over here while he could do some damage over here. Oh, we noticed that scout went right through the starbase and died. Then I think that he might just stick with spheres. And you can see that now he's doing this good job using that. He should capture that, really. Get a nice little tank for himself, for his Borgy units.
Yeah, I mean, all the fleet had gone. It's all by itself. He has the curriculum Dode, so he could have caught that ship quite easily. His shields are down as well, so he could start beaming on board and just made that capture process so much quicker. And like I said, have himself a little tank. 3 units are the best units in any game, I'd argue. He's just done another warp in, as you can, I don't know if you can see it on Don's screen, but the XL warped out straight away because he's got too many starships.
Yes, and he won't be able to get any more until he ranks up. So he needs to kill some Borg stuff if he wants to do any damage. And now he's letting the Borg come to him, which is always a very nice decision. But you really want to whittle down that Borg economy. So he should send these monsoons back. Meanwhile, my wife is turning the lights on and off, on and off, on and off, driving me nuts. So I get to see these fighters die. So this ambassador sitting in the front is a great decision. He already triggered the ability, so that's decent. That'll mean that he gets a lot of that energy. I'm still not sure what this Remor is doing over here. We see that we have vector calc, so this allows 1 nearby allied ship, so you can use it on a descent to get more damage out. But he hasn't gone for the 3rd ability, which is arguably the most important in this situation. And I think that is about 700 and something Try, which is expensive. We notice that he's out of supply again. So
what is the 3rd ability, by the way?
The 3rd ability is point defense, and that will allow him to negate these torpedoes from these Dodes, for instance, which are doing a tremendous amount of damage. So one thing I want to notice here is that Wolf is gathering all his ships into one blob. Now normally this is okay with Federation ships, but because he has descents, which are huge ships, that means that they're basically not going to be able to blob up optimally. This Akira needs to use its special ability immediately. It's going to die. Oh, there it goes. And he had the ability. Oh, and this one needs to also trigger its ability early. but you can see that the energy has now been drained. So you have to be careful with these Akiras because they need to use their abilities just as battle is commencing with the spheres. Otherwise, they're going to lose their energy, basically.
Yep, I can't believe that Akira made it out. That is amazing.
But
Such
it has
low health.
its engines
No
gone.
engines.
He needs to send a constructor down and drag that into a yard. This other Akira is going to go down. But the sphere is probably going to... Oh, he's so close. He can probably get the sphere. It has no energy left for regeneration. There it goes. So he's got only that many spheres. How many CCs does he have? I'm going to guess
He has
around
72. I would say that he was originally going to be saving up for a diamond. But I guess now he'll probably switch to a spear because
he probably feels like he doesn't
unit.
have enough resources. The thing is, he doesn't have any really damage-dealing spheres. And this would have come in handy earlier, but now he really needs regen spheres. And so this is a very tricky situation to be in as Borg. You can see that he has a ton of resources banked. And I don't know that he's actually upgraded his uplink level, his CC level, to actually deal with this. We can see that for some reason Wolf is deciding to retreat. He needs to turn around, just smack that sphere down. He can easily get it. Here's the first Sovereign. It needs distortion device, needs to prevent these retreats. He is now on 0 supply, basically. Borg still has enough supply. He has enough supply for a diamond. I think
If I was the again, let's go into the Borg player. As you can see, he's got a lot of spare resources, so he could actually upgrade his starbase quite happily there. And as you can see, that conduction matrix is getting just what you want it to get. It's getting an absolute beating in return for being on the bad side of the starbase. Now, Wolf, very interestingly, is slowly dominating this whole entire map. He's now taking another dilithium moon and has got 3 mines on it. So it really is just... Eventually he will hit a point where he's going to be able to hit critical mass. Because he's just mining out of every single planetoid he possibly can find.
And Borg now
like
has a
cockroach.
ton of resources, a ton. This is enough for 2 diamonds at this point, and I think this is going to make a diamond right here, because he obviously doesn't want something out here where it's in the open. It could be sniped, and he saw that and very intelligently moved.
Well, he can have a diamond now, and he's not building one. Oh, there it goes.
There it
it's
goes.
On its way.
See?
He is researching nanites as well. We all know how effective nanites can be. Nasty little buggers. To sort of in random subsystems. Really makes it hard for ships to get away. It's just a pain. Bloody nanites.
I think that diamond is actually going to be the last best hope for humanity right now, or rather Borgamity, because even though there he goes. He's researching nanites, so he's hoping to use that nanites to really lay out the hurt, because he's letting these resource assimilators die at that point. He let 2 of them die already. This one's not going to make it out. We notice that Wolf is moving a constructor down here. This can only mean one thing. He's going to build a forward yard right here and cycle stuff out. This is a very strategic move, very good move for this situation. Defiant will probably have a very hard time dislodging that unless he can kite with that diamond, kite with that nanites, and this will be very difficult to deal with. So I want to see...
Again, I'm just going to go onto Defiant. He actually has nearly 3,000 dilithium, but what he is though on is tritanium. And you'll notice that there's a tritanium moon on the bottom left side of his map, right close to his base, and he's not taking advantage of that at all. And because he's lost his expansion, he would be it would be his benefit to have actually pulled back those miners and just got the mining that tritanium moon instead. Because now Wolf, like any good parasite, he's just assimilating the map, which is funny because they're fed and they don't assimilate.
Well, the feds are rats and they assimilate everything. So one thing I want to notice is that
they don't. They come in peace.
Mr. Defiant let both of his little resource collectors die. The stations die, and this is something you can always avoid. So you can get 35% of your resources back if you don't let those things die, if you just recuperate them, because they only take about 10 seconds to, or 5 seconds to recuperate the resources. So that's something you should never let die unless you really need to prevent yourself from having the opponent latch onto you immediately. So we have this diamond out now. We have its abilities out. Ooh, what module configuration is this? It's got a holding beam.
Yeah,
so
it's gone for
torpedo, 1 order to chaos, and 1 beam. So we got 1 of everything, which is decent. It means it's a fighting diamond, basically. We got partial adaptation. This is the next best thing. It can make your Borg weapons do, I think, a 20% or 25% more damage. So that's decent, what he needs right now. Now, although what I think Defiant is going to do, which is going to probably get another sphere or something heavier like that, he really needs probably a scout cube or something like that to go around and prevent Wolf from assimilating the quadrant, because this nasty assimilating cloying Federation, I guess, what was it, root beer? That Federation is like that cloying fact of root beer. It just slowly takes you in and makes you like it. And the Federation assimilates people, and they don't even know it, unlike the Borg, who announce themselves. Well, you need to take those scouts. You need to stop that from happening.
Yep, as you can see, it's going to be another spear. Let's make another guess. He's also got more. The good thing about Borg is once you've got this research station up, all research is free, apart from the cap. He's just done partial adaptation, so with that diamond and with that, I guess you'll get a 30% increase now, assuming it stacks. Does it stack on this?
Which part stack? Sorry, I missed that.
He's got adaptation on the diamond, and he just did partial adaptation at his research yard. So does it stack? So would he have a 30% increase, or does it not stack?
I don't understand what that means. I don't understand what you mean by partial adaptation on the diamond.
Well, because the diamond will, you said it'd give a 20% increase of damage to Borg ships.
Well, so the thing that's from the transmission matrix gives a universal 30% damage increase to all units, all abilities, all things like that for Borg. And then whatever ability you use on that is going to have more damage, etc.
Yep, it's a 10% increase, by the way, Dom, just to correct you there.
10% increase? Okay, it's been so long since I looked at this stuff.
Yeah, 30% would be huge.
So, Defiant hasn't scouted anything still. He doesn't know what's going on, so he doesn't know that there's an expansion down here, which these lovely Borg ships could easily capture and assimilate and take over and use to their own advantage. All he knows is that Wolf has a large portion of the map, and it's getting larger. So this is a bad situation to be in. As a Borg player, even though he's banked quite a lot of resources, he needs to prevent this. He needs a scout cube or two to go around and harass stuff. It's very it's very tempting as a Borg player to only want heavier and heavier ships, because the heavier ships survive longer, they can blob up more, things like that. But really, you need to prevent this assimilation going on. You need to prevent somebody from seizing the sector, because as a Borg player, you can't expand as fast. So you need to basically prevent the enemy from expanding any faster than you can.
Yep, I'm going to assume he's going for another diamond. He's on 84 collective connections.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
So I guess it's going to be another diamond. To be fair, at this point, the Fed have so much resources. I don't really know if it's going to be able to hold out. It's going to be a game of just... He's going to have to do something really, really clever, because the Feds can build so many more ships than he can now at a faster rate.
Yeah. And the Feds are starting to throw away ships, that can end the game sometimes. You see this nice tactical use of nanites. It's preventing a lot of ships from running out. Nanites is the only ability other than Alpha, Ketracel White, or that allows affects unlimited ships in the area of effect. So that's very nice. You can see that sphere is going to die. It does have a little bit of regen available, but not enough to survive. And he actually wasn't using regen at the time, it looked like.
No, he wasn't.
So Wolf is going to lose a lot of ships here. He probably won't be able to kill the diamond. He will be able to do some damage, but that's going to regen pretty quickly. And you notice that he has so many resources, but he's not using it to build another yard over here, which would come in handy. He's not using it to build turrets to hem in the Borg. He's not being annoying in any way in that form. He's just relying on what he already has. So you can see the Sovereigns are building up. These nanites are going to pick them off one by one. And it can be very dangerous as a Fed player to have only these limited powerful units in your field, because that means that you can get just picked off over and over again.
Yeah, a very interesting thing to notice is he did do something I would have done in that situation. When the Fed fleet got right in his base, he did use his extra resources to upgrade his starbase and give it more firepower, which is quite a logical thing to do in that situation. Again, he's managed to... Sorry?
No, I want to point that Wolf did a very good job using his descent just a moment ago to save that Sovereign that was getting pummeled. It's a very nice move there. It only costs a few supplies, so you can do that. That diamond is coming out again. I would lay my money on it being exactly the same configuration as the first one. This seems to be a very reasonable configuration that a lot of people like to use. It's not necessarily the best configuration if you want to use nanites a lot, but it is one that can do a lot of damage, especially when you only have two ships like this guy does. I still want to see a Scube come out and just harass everywhere, because it's just mining without any harassment whatsoever. You could even put up a Dode turret or something like that and be incredibly annoying in the back of the base or so.
Yeah, I mean, if he stuck a Dode turret at any of his expansions, apart from he's one that's on the left of his base, he could really be a pain in the butt. And at the same time, slowly recapture areas of the map that he really does need, because he does need those resources.
And Feds are just building up into a bigger and bigger blob, preparing for the Fed roll. We can see another Arati yard coming up. I don't like the position. I would like to see this Arati yard come down here, and I think we are going to see that pretty soon. This Borg, this Borg resource assimilator is still over here, and I'd like to see that go and mine somewhere. He doesn't know what's going on, so why not mine there? He had it next to a constructor the entire time, so Feds know exactly where it is. He doesn't have to worry about not knowing where it is. Scout's about to die, so not much purpose over there.
Yeah, just to get an idea of the Federation resources, they are on a shocking 8,000 dilithium and 3,000 tri. So he could really pump out a lot more ships than he is. He just needs to keep buying supply, really, which again now isn't really a problem for him at all. He can buy supply quite happily, willy-nilly, without a care in the world. I mean, the takeover on this map and the expansion rate has been very impressive on the Fed part.
Now we see he did risk, Defiant just risked putting the resource assimilator in there. He wanted to get that dilithium. He desperately needed that dilithium. He only has 1,000, but unfortunately he docked it at this place right outside of the base. He was hoping that Wolf wouldn't notice, and unfortunately that's exactly what did happen. He did notice. So we can see that now these diamonds are easily taking out the Avalons, easily taking out these Sovereigns, as all of them run hell-no, leaving Picard behind to get assimilated by the Borg again. We all know
if Picard gets assimilated by the Borg, only one thing can happen from that, bad things, because if he gets assimilated, he always seems to find a way to completely screw the Borg over. So I wouldn't want to assimilate Picard. I'd rather have the Borg just kill him.
True.
So I'd like to think he was on that Sovereign that just blew up. Because that's what I would do to Picard. Honestly, nobody needs him. No one needs a Locutus anymore. Let's just get rid of him. He doesn't do any good for the Borg. He's a nasty man. I like the Queen.
I want to point out the nice strike force we have at the bottom of the map, moving down 2 Ambassadors, 3 Intrepids. These are fast ships. The Ambassadors are really tanky. They can sit in front of a starbase all day with a Norway giving them energy if they want. And he's going to go over here and finally take out this thing. You can see that there's an offensive turret being placed here. The Sphere isn't noticing, which is really surprising. So what's he going to do?
No, they're off.
Know yet.
They're off. He's saving up for another diamond, by the way. He really wants these diamonds. I guess he just wants to keep cycling nanites, and of course diamonds have an impressive range on them. And that turret is so cheeky.
It is, and it will die really quickly too, and this little strike force will die as well. But one thing that we should notice is that Wolf could easily use this opportunity to go over here, smack everything in the back of or in the front of the Borg base, while Borg is back here annihilating these poor Janeways and these poor Tasha Yars all over the place. I know now that nanites are being spread around. Earlier we saw nanites being placed in the exact same location on top of each other. And in fleet operations, abilities that have area of effects, when they're placed on the exact same location, they do nothing extra. That means that they will all disable the exact same thing. They will all hit the exact same unit. This is like in StarCraft. If you use two psionic storms at the same time on the same location, they only do the damage of one psionic storm. So if you are using multiple abilities on the same unit, they're not going to stack.
That's very good to know.
That's going to be annihilated over here if it doesn't move down into the protection of the base.
I think.
Yes.
I think that's a good point that you made there about the nanites. People have a habit of just clicking and spamming that bugger in one spot. But really, what I like to do with nanites is I like to fight multiple locations, and if I can, fight just behind where I think the fleet's going to try and retreat to. So as they try and retreat, they'll go straight into those nanites and hopefully get an engine disabled so they can't run away. Because when they run away, they are an absolute pain in the butt. Nobody wants them to repair, because that's just no fun. Again, you can see that this Sovereign route that you spoke about isn't helping him at all, actually. These Sovereigns are strong, but again, like I say, they're only one unit, and these nanites are ripping through them. He does need to stop spamming those nats in the same spot though, to take full advantage.
And he also needs to stop physics blocking himself. He keeps sending that diamond to hug stations and spheres and things like that, and that's going to make him lose that core diamond. So he needs to have this sphere sitting in the middle of combat. The other thing is that we notice that Wolf is making a very interesting tactical decision. I want to call this brick walling. This is probably one of my favorite terms, as most people who play with me know. I call this because people who make tactical decisions where they engage extremely strong forces, which they cannot possibly hope to destroy. Ooh, he's going to let that diamond die. Oh, ouch. So how many CCs are we up to?
108. So maybe he was setting up for a Q. No, there's no way he could be setting up for a Q.
I don't think so. He only has 1,500 die. This sphere is going to go down. He needs to send that out. I don't know why he's leaving things at very close range. Both diamonds have died. I think he's actually giving up at this time.
I think he is. I think he worked out he couldn't win this now. Just out of interest, how much resources do the Feds have, Dom?
So we have 6,100 resources and 4,000 tri from Wolf. Borgie has only 1,400 and 3,700 tri. So this isn't a bad situation. Now, I would say that if Wolf had continued this assault like he had now, and if Defiant had been a little bit more conservative with his diamonds, had kept them at maximum range, had kept them running around, then I would say that Wolf would have died by now, because 2 diamonds against this limited number of ships would mean that he could run hell-nail through all this stuff and slowly wear him down. But now we have Wolf with 4 Arati yards, nothing down here, no backup yard down here. That strike force is still alive. This poor assembly node is trying to run away, but really will have no hope. We have this Nexus, this assimilation matrix, with full upgrades. It can survive. That's where all his dill went. That was a little bit of a interesting choice earlier in the game. I would have said that he would have needed that diamond instead of a maximum firepower upgrade. But at this point, it's pretty much we're just waiting for the GG.
Yeah, I mean, to give you a rough idea, the thing about the diamonds was, and as you said, what Wolf did was he actually went straight into a brick wall there. So if he did keep his diamonds at maximum range, his starbase would have tanked and done a lot of firepower too, thanks to the fact that it's fully upgraded, and the actual, like I say, he could have picked off those ships one by one because he had a limited number of ships. So again, it just would have been a bit of tactile play there, and he probably could have fended the Feds down and tried to start capturing back some of the map, which is what he really needed to do more than anything else. And as you've seen, we have seen the gorgeous gaming GG there. Yes. So I guess that is the end of that. If you bear with us, we will actually be having interviewed the players on this commentary once I pull them into this room and we get to the Admiral's log, so the sound in the background stops.
Alrighty, I'm going to pause it for a moment and we're going to move back to player commentary. Well, great game by all. This is Mark and Dominus giving you another commentary.
We finally
see the mixed incubation center going off. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We bring you to the second part of our game, which is our player interview. With us, we have RedManMark and Dominus, and of course, our 2 last players, Defiant and Wolf. Say hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll first get what you guys think of how it went and some of your strategies that you went for. I'm going to start with you, Wolf, because I found your play very interesting in that game, mainly because you took over that map like a parasite taking over Dominus's girlfriend's vag. So, Wolf, what was your strategy in that game, and why did you go for such a fast expansion?
Well, that was probably the worst first 5 minutes in a long time, because you probably noticed I forgot everything. Fast expansion, I just didn't realize he was to the bottom left, so I went the wrong way to start with. Other than fast expansion, I knew I was behind because I goofed up in the beginning, so I had to get money and make ships as fast as possible. That was my thinking.
Yep, and then Defiant, on your front, again, a very interesting strategy from you is that you actually went to the bottom right mansion very early on. What made you want to go for that tactic over the usual Borg of jumping 2 assimilators? Sorry, 2 assimilators, that's my brain not working now, sorry, 2 resource noticing that it's on to your local expansions, the ones that run in front of your base?
Well, I was playing before just as I noticed I had Borg, I was planning to do a very fast sphere, but then I scouted that Wolf was building Intrepid, so I decided to throw the sphere out the window, and because the sphere build requires that, straight to the expansion, and the two at the main base that will give you slightly more resources, but I didn't do the sphere because of the Intrepid, so I went with a few dodes. Then the monsoons came, so I went for the sphere after that, which I find is normally the fastest way to get resources up for the sphere.
Won the game.
So, carrying on from that, obviously, Defiant, I mean, what was good from both of you in that game was that you both did see each other's units and start countering each other. So when you start producing Dodes, we'll start producing Monsoons. When we'll start producing Monsoons, you start producing Spears, which was really good to see you guys countering each other. Now, unfortunately, one of the things we like to criticise on, and I'm so sorry to say this, Defiant, we did find your scouting to be less than desirable. You missed out on key points where you could see him expanding and taking advantage of certain areas that he could have attacked. So is scouting something that's generally hard to multitask in fleet ops? Is that what the problem is?
Well, with Borg, it's a tiny bit harder because your ships require a bit more micro than the average units, I believe, and I was under constant problems of being raided, or I kept thinking I was going to get raided any second. I didn't really have too much time to think about scouting, and I was trying to keep an eye on what Wolf was building from his second yard instead of looking around the map, which slipped my mind completely. I probably won't let that happen again, though.
Yep, and from what we saw from you was a very quick tech upgrade. Now, I know Dominus had an opinion on this, as you'll hear it in the commentary when you watch it back. So, Dominus, please feel free to talk about the fast tech upgrade that Wolf went for.
Well, I thought it was nice to see it happen, but I also thought it was too fast given what I thought were weaknesses in your strategy. I thought that when your first expansion or your second expansion was taken out, I thought you wouldn't have enough resources to have the ships out there, and I was expecting more raiding from Defiant to prevent you there, and I actually expected that you wouldn't have enough ships to even prevent Defiant from rolling over you at that time. So I was a little surprised to see the tech up to tier 3 feds all the way really quickly. Anything you want to add to that, Mark?
Yeah, again, as Dominus has already said, you did have a very fast tech upgrade, and then what you did start, one of the things you produced was an Avalon. We felt that this probably wasn't one of the best units. It's quite slow, the fighters will fall quite quickly, so they won't produce as much cannon fodder as you would like, and they won't do much damage to the Borg units because they're firing pulses. Going on to what you did move on to in the end was Sovereigns. Again, Defiant had an opinion on your Sovereigns too, because he has an opinion on everything. In terms of the Sovereigns, he felt that though they are a late game unit and they're very strong and they're very critical, you won't be able to get crew master them fast enough, and you saw just in the game itself how fast Defiant's diamonds could wipe them out. And he did get his third diamond, which he was going for. I reckon he could have done quite a lot of damage to your actual Sovereigns there.
Well, my thought there, I mean, obviously, I went Risner, and Risner has nothing really to fight the Borg with. Until you get to late tactical Sovereigns, and then of course Diamonds kill Sovereigns, which is why I went back to the E2s, which is normally a crappy Risner ship. But there's really nothing in the middle for Risner, in my opinion, that's any good against the Borg. So once you tech up out of tier 1, you gotta go all the way. That was my thinking.
Dominus, is there a late Risner ship that deals with Borg Diamonds?
Well, actually, I would like to address the idea that certain avatar bonuses mean that you don't have something that's good. So the only difference between Mason and Risner are these minor differences, like +4 defense value or +5 offensive value on certain ships. And these are not enough to really make you totally disregard units. Just because it gets an extra bonus doesn't mean that the other unit suddenly becomes crap. It's only crap if you want to consider it with respect to using that other unit. So you could have a Monsoon that has +100 defense from Mason and has still 18 defense from Risner, and the 18 defense Risner, you would still want to use the Monsoon because it's still good. Of course, compared to the Monsoon Risner, which has plus 1 million defense, it really doesn't do very well, of course, and if you were doing a mirror matchup, you wouldn't want to see that Monsoon there. But against another faction where everything is important, you don't really care about those minor differences, or you shouldn't care about them.
Well, what the difference is that the Risner Sovereign has such a boost that I think for the money you spend, the Sovereign is much, much better than the E2 for Risner. If I was playing Mason, I would never build Sovereigns, I'd build E2 the whole time. That was my thought. They're not crap, but I mean, they're just not nearly as efficient a way to spend your money.
Yep. Something I would like to commend you on, Wolf, actually, was your use of Descent. Again, it's a unit we don't see warped in too often, especially as the very first warp in. Usually people go for a standard 3-vessel warp and hope they get an Ambassador or a Galaxy. But you went for the Descent, and you did use it very well. There was a couple of times when your Sovereigns were about to lose. They were like 25% hull at one point, and you quickly used that at the right time and got their shields back up and got them out. So I'd have to condemn that was very good micro and very good impressive play there.
Well, if you call in a regular warp in when he's got Dodes, you just know you're going to get 2 E1s, and they're just going to die because they're 80 AI. So the last thing I wanted was E1, so that's why I went to Descent.
Yep, I'm going to ask Dominus to talk about the raiding aspect, because there were some points when raiding could have happened, and we feel like they kind of were slightly missed out on. So Dominus, would you like to talk about the raiding, please?
Yeah, I would just like to talk about rather the lack thereof. I thought that Mr. Defiant here could have done a much more thorough job of sending just, building one scout cube when he didn't really need the CCs. There were plenty of times where he's working up to 70 CCs, to 50 CCs, to 90 CCs, and he could have just sacrificed a little bit of resources to build a single intercept scube, sent it around, cleaned up Wolf's expansions he had. At the end of the game, I believe he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dilithium moons, which is quite a number, and a single intercept scube running havoc behind enemy lines is more than enough to handle this sort of stuff, even when that Borg fleet with those 2 diamonds, those few spheres, is wrecking havoc at the front of the base. So having just 1 unit or 2 units harassing all the time is a very tactically important decision to make. As a Federation, having those monsoons attack was nice, but the rest of the Federation fleet wasn't doing the job it needs to be doing, which is to actually sit somewhere else and harass the Borg at another location. You want to tear the Borg apart. You want to make them decide what they want to defend, rather than having your main fleet sit back at home, having the monsoons go out and attack. That sort of stuff doesn't win you any favors. You can't do terribly much damage, so you really need to split your enemy's focus. So that's always what you want to do as a player, as Borg, as Federation, as Romulan, as Dominion. You want to split your opponent's attention, force them to do one thing or another. You want to make them make decisions which hurt themselves. So if they want to protect their expansion, hit their main base as well. And that way they have to send one ship to deal with it, or they just have to ignore it and lose something.
Yep, another strategy that you did mention in there as well was one that I quite liked, which was because Wolf had loads of expansions, but only at one of his expansions did he actually have any turrets. Other than that, he didn't have anything, any other expansions apart from a yard and that middle one. What Defiant could have done is he could have sacrificed a bit of resources and built a relay dode and just plump that down, actually. As I think I said in the game, even at his closest expansion, when Wolf captured it, just put it there, just so he could have captured it back, had a bit of defense there, and a bit of a turret wall. And then slowly started to regain the map and regain some form of map control, because what happened there is there was a massive bit where Wolf basically took over the map and he really needed to regain some control over that map while keeping that Federation fleet at bay.
I just have to mention my Borg map control is seriously lacking in practice. I'm going to have to do some more Borg map control practice or something, because I don't exactly know how to do it yet. And
Yeah, it
there's
can
not
be
been
very
much help
difficult
for it.
in 327 as well. You don't have many opportunities to control map space. You have only one type of turret that you can build. You don't have really the way of controlling an area. You have to really use your intercept scoops and your probes to prevent enemies from expanding. You can't really plop down a turret and hold that position. You can't plop down a yard and hold that position like the Federation can or the other races can.
Yeah.
That's completely
Earlier
what
on,
my thinking is.
go on, Defiant, please, carry on.
I was saying that was completely my thinking. The Borg don't have the defense kind of structures that the Federation, the Romulans, the Klingons, any race has. Just got this one dude.
Yeah, again, very funny, Wolf. One of the things we can, again, say is, if you had done a bit more scouting, you would have seen that lots of these expansions had literally nothing but miners. So they were so vulnerable to any form of attack, like even from a single scoop, as you said. So anything else you didn't build, anything else you didn't build at all, actually, was any probes. Not a single one, not one probe at all. Probes are good tanks, they're fast as well, so you can get around the map quite quick. So again, it would be nice, especially earlier on, a probe would have been quite nice, just to be a little bit of a tank for you at the very beginning there, when he's building monsters and his intrepids, just to take a bit of heat off your dodes. Of course, Wolf was the winner of that game. Wolf, how does it feel to be the winner?
Well, I don't know. After listening to you guys, I forget. Did I win? I don't think I won. Yeah, no, you guys make a lot of good points, but just from a player's perspective, like my strategy, I think pretty obviously was I was going to take the map. I was going to be the Federation, expand, bring everybody under my banner. And when you're doing that, you're trying to micro so many miners, so many ships that it's kind of hard to attack him in two places at the same time that you're running the 3 new expansions. So, you know, it's nice to hear what you can be doing, but at the same time, there's only so much one's capable of.
Yeah.
With that, I think we're only this much capable of fulfilling our commentary, so I think this is a good place to stop and to wish congratulations to everybody, because in fleet operations, everybody's a winner.
Apart from Picard, Janeway, and Ikutis, who, you know, got a bit of hate in that.
We also lost Tasha Yar, yeah.
We did lose Tasha Yar.
All right, and with that, let's give a good night, a good round of applause.